Hello, welcome to Darasa Online. My name is Mr. Kileo Davidson Abubakar. I am a geography teacher. Today we are going to make a Form 4 geography revision, and we will focus on the topic of the forces that are affecting the Earth. We are going to see the geography Form 4 revision. It is a revision because the topic that we are going to learn today, it is a Form 3 topic. Forces that affect the Earth. Subtopic is the external forces. And right here we are going to see what is weathering. See, so we are going to study on weathering. What is weathering? So I will explain some few concepts regarding weathering, then we will see the model question so that we will use them as our guiding questions through our discussion. Are we together? So let's see what is weathering. It means weathering. It means to refer to the disintegration of the large rock into the smallest particles that can be easily carried by the erosional agent. Are we together? It means we are talking about we have the large rocks. It means the large rock right now, it undergoes the disintegration, the decomposition of the large rock into the smallest particle that can be easily carried by the erosion agent. And that process is what we call the weathering. So it means weathering, we are talking about the disintegration. Or the decomposition. Listen to me very carefully. It means we are talking either the disintegration or the decomposition of the rocks, especially the large rocks, into the smallest particles that can be easily carried by the erosion agent. Can be easily carried by the erosion agent, such as water, ice, and wind. Are you okay with that? So we are talking about the disintegration of the large rocks. Let me explain right here. We have the rocks. This is a rock. See, the large rocks. It means right now different factor may act upon these rocks and may undergo the disintegration, the broken down of it into the smallest particles. See, it means right now the rock has undergone the disintegration. It forms the smallest particles, where after, or if this smallest particle will undergo further disintegration, is where we'll get what we call soil. Are we together? Later on it will form what we call soil. Soil will refer to the very thin layers made up of organic and inorganic material, but it is a result of what we call the weathering. Are we together? That is the breaking down, the disintegration of the large rock into the smallest particle. But sometimes we can say the decomposition of the large rock into the smallest particle. It means right now this large rock, it may undergo what we call the chemical reaction. See, different climatic conditions may act upon these rocks and may change the mineral of the nature of the mineral within the rocks into the soft one, easily removed by the erosion agent. That's why we said disintegration or the decomposition. It means in the decomposition right now, the rocks undergo the reaction. There is a chemical reaction between the minerals of the rocks and the element of water. Are we together? Or other climatic conditions that may affect that rocks. Are we together? So from there, this is weathering. Let's see type of weathering. We have the physical or mechanical weathering. We have the chemical weathering. as well as the biological weathering. So before going to the model question, let's see what is physical weathering, what is chemical weathering, as well as biological weathering. So physical weathering. What happened to the physical weathering? Or what is the physical weathering? It means physical weathering, we refer to the disintegration of rock by physical means. It means right now the rock undergo the breaking down while you observe the process. Are you together? It means we're talking about the disintegration of the rocks into smallest particles by physical means. By physical means. It means the broken down can be seen, or we say appreciated. Let me explain in a simple way. It means right now we are referring to the breaking down of rock while you see. For instance, you have the rock, this one. It means the rock right here may undergo the change in temperature. It means the change in temperature may appreciate the expansion and the contraction of the mineral within the rocks. Are we together? So after some time you may observe what calls the cracks. See? So this crack, it will start very slowly. Then it goes in expand or enlarging. Eventually it may break the rock into pieces. That's why we say physical means. Are we together? It means we are talking about the physical disintegration of the rock, just like this one. So we have different processes involved in physical weathering. In physical weathering, we have what we call the thermal expansion. See? Or in other words, you say the temperature change. We have what we call the Frosty shattering. See? We have the alternate wetting and drying. Alternate wetting and drying. See? We have the salty crystallization, etc., etc. These are some of the processes that are involved in physical weathering. So what is chemical weathering? It means chemical weathering will refer to the disintegration of the rock through the chemical reaction. It means right now the rock undergoes a chemical reaction. Then it changed from the hard rock, the resistance rock, into the less resistance rock. The hard rock into the soft rock is removed by the erosion agent. And that's what we call the chemical weathering. So chemical weathering. Chemical weathering, it means right now, chemical weathering, it means we are talking about the disintegration, and normally we say the decomposition of rocks into smallest particles by chemical means. It means that is the rocks undergone the reaction, have undergone the reactions between the minerals of the rocks and, for instance, the elements of water. It means we are talking about the hydrogen gas, hydrogen and the oxygen. These are elements of water. So once the element of water, for instance, they undergo reaction with the minerals that are within the rocks, it means the hard rock right now may be changed from the hard rock into the soft rock, easily removed by the erosion agent. Are you with me? And that process is what we call the chemical weathering. You cannot see or observe the whole process, but After the effect, it means after the reaction, you may appreciate the breaking down of the rock in easy way. Are you with me? We have different processes that are within the chemical weathering. Different processes involving chemical weathering. We have processes involved in chemical weathering. We have the carbonation. See? We have the hydrolysis. We have the hydration. We have the oxidation, as well as the solution. So because I have said that we are going to pass through different model questions, it means the model question will be our guiding question. So listen to me very carefully. It means we have seen the physical weathering as well as the chemical weathering. These are some of the processes involved in chemical weathering. So the point is, we will go and see the model questions that will direct us directly to the explanation of either chemical weathering or physical weathering resulted to these processes as you have seen right here. Are you with me? It means the point is we are going to explain this process of chemical weathering and the other process of the physical weathering through the guiding question. Are we together? So let's see what is biological as the last, what is biological weathering as the last type of, see, the biological weathering, it means right now we refer to the disintegration of the rocks into the smallest particle through the role of organism. It means we are talking the disintegration, the breaking down, disintegration of the rocks into smallest particles through the roles played by organism. Example, we are talking about the man, plants, as well as animals. For instance, man may destroy the rocks into the smallest particle through his or her daily activities. It means we are talking about the mining, quarrying of rocks, cultivation, see, bombing explosion, either during military activity or exercises. We have deforestation. See, we have the plants. Plants may result to the disintegration of the large rock into the smallest pieces through the root penetration, for instance, root penetration. Coming to animal, it means right here we are talking about the burrowing animal, for instance, may result to the disintegration of large rock into the smallest pieces. For instance, we have the rodents, ants, snakes, earthworms, see, rats, etc. These are some of the animals that may have influenced the breaking down of rock into the smallest particles. We have the model question. See, so we have our first model question right here. It said, describes the role of climate in the disintegration or decomposition of rocks. Listen to me very carefully. It means we are talking about weathering. It means I said weathering we refer to the breaking down or the decomposition of the large rocks into the smallest particle that can be easily carried by the erosion agent. Are we together? So the point is, we have the model question right here. It's written, describes the roles of climate in disintegration or decomposition of rocks. It means right now we are supposed to explain what happened when the climatic condition of a given area may act upon the large rocks. Are we together? So let's see the role of climate. See, by answering the question, it means first you define what is weathering. It means you give the definition of weathering. Weathering, that is, weathering refers to the disintegration or the decomposition of rock into the smallest particles that can be easily carried by the erosion agent. Thereafter, it means you are going to the main body. This will be your introduction. Are we together, class? This will be your introduction. Then from there, you'll go to the main body. Main body. So in main body, it means you have to explain the roles or the function. It means the role, sometimes we can refer to the functions of what? Of climate. So let's stick right here. It means when you are talking about the climate, it means right here you are talking about climate involves the temperature of a given area. Are we together? It involves the rainfall. It involves the wind. All of these are elements of weather. Are we together? So it means when you're talking about the element of weather, it means you're talking about temperature, rainfall, as well as wind. So let's see how do each element play a major role in the disintegration of the rock. Are we together? Because the question that I've said, it will need us to explain the role, the function of climate in the either disintegration or the decomposition of what? Of the rock. So let's see what happened. It means, let us start with the temperature. See, is the first element of climate. So temperature, it means it helps the disintegration of rocks into the smallest particles through the following processes. Are we together? Through the following processes. The first process is what we call the thermal expansion. Listen to me very carefully. We're talking about the thermal expansion. See, the thermal expansion. So what is a thermal expansion? It means the thermal expansion, we are talking about the temperature change. In other way, the temperature what? The temperature change. So it means right now I'm going to explain how do the temperature of a given area may affect the disintegration or may help the disintegration of rock into the smallest particle. So by looking on the first process of thermal expansion, it means we are going to see what is thermal expansion and the forms of the process which are within the thermal expansion and how do they affect or help the disintegration of the parent rock, of the rock into the smallest particles. Are we together? So let's see what is thermal expansion. So thermal expansion, it means it involves the broken down of rocks into smallest particles through the repetition temperature change. Temperature change. What does it mean? Through the repetition temperature change. It means during the day, for instance, there is increase in temperature. We all know that. During the night, there is falling in temperature. So the mineral within the rocks will expand during the day and will contract during the night. It means the repetition, contraction, and expansion of the mineral within the rocks will become loose or weak. Then it will be easy to be affected by the irrational agents, either water, windy, ice, or wave. Are we together? Because that's why we say it involves the breaking down of rocks into the smallest particle through the repetition in temperature change. Are we together? It means during the day, the rocks, minerals expand. See, during the night, it means there will be the falling in temperature. It means the rocks, minerals contract. It means it shrink. Are we together? So the point is the repetition, expansion and the contraction of the mineral within the rocks will result to the disintegration of the rocks, or will cause the rocks to be weak, to become weak. Are we together? And easily removed by the erosion agent. So we have the first process of the thermal expansion, and we call it the exfoliation. We have the exfoliation, three processes right here. We have the granular disintegration is a process or processes of what? Of thermal expansion or form of thermal expansion. We have the block disintegration. Are you with me, class? It means these are the forms of thermal expansion. So let's see what are these, one from the other. It means, what is exfoliation? They said exfoliation refers to the peeling off of the outer layer of the rock like an onion. So what happened? It means exfoliation refer to the peeling off, see, of the outer layer of the rock like an onion. What does it mean? It means right now through the repetition temperature change, see, which occur during the day and during the night, it means the layers of the rock will expand and contract. So we will find the outer layer of the rock will be removed through the repetition temperature change, just like the peeling off, the remove of the outer layer of the rock like an onion. Are we together? We all know an onion is made up of different layers. See, so you can remove the upper layer, you may find another layer. Are we together? So the point is, let's assume this is our rock. Are we together? This one. What does it mean? It means we have the rock right there. Remember, there is a sun, for instance, right here. It means during the days there is a sunlight. See? So what happened? It means the rock right now will expand. It means during the night, when the sun is off, it means the mineral within this rock will contract. So the repetition, contraction, is expansion of this rock. It means it will cause the weakening of the outer part of the rock, this one. It means it will undergo what we call the crack or joints. So as the days goes, we will find that this point or the outer layer of this rock will be falling down or disintegrated into the smallest particles. So right here, we'll find the smallest particles caused by the disintegration of this rock. Then it will leave what we call the exfoliation dome. Exfoliation what? Exfoliation dome. And these particles right here of rock can be called talus or scree. Talus or scree. So we call them talus when these particles, they are large. And we will call them scree when these particles are small. Are we together? Then from there, this is what we call the exfoliation. See? So let's see another process of thermal expansion, which is granular disintegration. Granular disintegration. Remember, we are talking about the rules of climate. So we have started with the temperature. Are we together? So we have the granular disintegration is the second process or form of thermal expansion. The granular disintegration. Granular disintegration. See, this is the granular disintegration. It means Right now, it means we are talking about the rocks which contain the same mineral, the homogeneous mineral, which have the same rate of expansion and contraction. Are we together? So the point is, if the rock it contains the same mineral, automatically it will expand with the same rate, it will contract with the same rate. Are we together? So the disintegration of the rock which has the homogeneous mineral automatically will disintegrate into what we call the blocks. See, into what is we call the blocks. I want to show the difference between the granular and the block disintegration right here. Are we together, class? It means we have the block disintegration. These two, they are very important to understand. It means right now in block disintegration, as I've explained, it means the rock contains the same minerals. The same minerals, the homogeneous minerals. It means right here, they got the same rate of expansion to contraction. Are we together? But in granular disintegration right here, it means this rock, it has contained the heterogeneous minerals. See, different minerals in the rocks. If there are different minerals, it means the different minerals, they have different nature of expansion and contraction, different rate of expansion and contraction. So automatically, this one, the granular disintegration refer to the disintegration or the breaking down of rocks through the repetition temperature change, where the rock right now will disintegrate into granules or different rock particles of different size. Are we together? We call them the granules. That's why we call it the granular disintegration. But right here, because they have the same mineral, it means they have the same rate of expansion to contraction. So right here, the rock's mineral will disintegrate into blocks of the same nature. Are we together? So it means right here, the rocks disintegrate into granules. This one. Different size particles of rock. Size particles of what? Of rocks. We call it the granules. While right here it means the rocks disintegrate into blocks of rocks of the same nature, of the same size. See? So let me show the difference in drawing. It means when the granular, there is a disintegration of the rock which contain different mineral, so automatically right here, you will find the rock disintegrated into the smallest, large, medium, etc. See, these are what we call the granules. Different rock particles of different size. Are we together? These are what we call the granules. This one, granules, and this is what we call the granular disintegration. Are we together? This one. But in the block disintegration, it means this is a rock. It means right now it is disintegrated into blocks. See, of almost the same size or nature. These are the blocks. See, blocks of rocks. This occurred after the disintegration of these rocks which have contained the same mineral. Are we together? So these are the process of what we call the thermal expansion. See, so let's see another process apart from thermal expansion. We have the Frosty Action. Remember, we are talking about the rule of climate, and we have started with the temperature. So it means we have the second process. We call it the Frosty Action. Frosty Action. Or sometimes they call it the Frosty Shuttering. So the Frosty Action, it occurred in arid and semi-arid areas, the temperate regions. Listen to me very carefully. It means we know during the day in arid areas there is too much temperature, and during the night there is too much coldy. Are we together? It means too much hot during the day and too much cold during the night. So what happened? It means during the night when there is too much cold, it means the climatic condition of such area may change into the very smallest particles of ice. Are we together? So right now we are talking with the disintegration of the large rock into small pieces through shattering of the rock caused by the accumulation of different within the cracks of that rocks. It means in frost shattering, it means we say it occurred when the rocks is broken down into smallest particles caused by the freezing, see, and melting of ice crystals within the cracks of rocks, see, which widen up the cracks and joints, later on bricks rocks into smallest particles. See? So as you can see right here, we are talking about the frost shattering. As I have explained, it means we are talking about what? About the disintegration of the rocks into the smallest particle through freezing and melting. It means it occurred in arid area, for instance in desert area. Let's say we have this rock right here. This rock we found it has a small crack, as you can see right there. So what happened? It means during the night when there is falling temperature, it means there will be the formation of smallest ice crystal right here in this crack. Are we together? And during the day, it means this ice within the cracks will melt, see, and disappear due to high temperature, the hot condition of that area. Are we together? During the night again, it means there will be the accumulation of ice at this point here. It means there will be the expansion of this of this cracks within this rock. It means later on we'll find the crack of rocks has increased in size, as you can see right here. So the repetition increase, or the accumulation of ice crystal within the cracks of rock for a long time, automatically it may cause cracks within the rocks. Then later we may find the rocks has disintegrated into particles. Are we together? Caused by the accumulation of what? Ice crystals within the cracks. This one, within the cracks of the rocks. See? Which may either strengthen the rock into either sides and easily disintegrate into the smallest particle. And that process is what we call the frost action. Caused by what? Caused by the climatic condition of such area. Are we together? So we have seen the temperature, the thermal expansion or the temperature change and its process. Then we have come to the second process, which it involves also the climatic condition. So let's see this one. The last process. See, the last process is what we call say alternate wetting and drying. See, this is another process of temperature. This is another process which involves the climatic change. So what happened? It means right now we are talking about the disintegration of rocks once there is a rainfall and when there is a dry condition. So what happened? It means during rainfall, it means the rocks mineral will swell, will expand. See, after getting wet. Are we together? And during the drying, it means the rocks will expand when there is no rainfall. So the repetition, expansion, or the shrink of the expansion and the shrink of the rocks during wetting and during the drying automatically will weaken the rock. and we cause the easy disintegration of the rocks into the smallest particle through the repetition, wetting and drying, which occur either during the dry season and during the rain season. Are we together? That's why you said the repetition. We refer to the repetition, wetting and the drying season or condition of an area may weaken the rocks, minerals, and make it easy removed through the erosion agent. Through the erosion agent. Are we together? So we have seen the three processes which are involved in the climate. So let's see another. We have, speaking of temperature right here. So let's see the rainfall. Are we together? What happened to the effect caused by the rainfall? Are we together? So when you are speaking of the rainfall, it is also involving in this process I've explained right here. See? So let's see the effect of rainfall in chemical reaction, because almost what I have explained right here is what we call the mechanical, the physical reaction. The breaking down of rock by the physical means. It means the rock right now, it undergoes the disintegration from the start to the end, while you can be able to observe or to see the situation. Are we together? And we call it the physical, the mechanical weathering. So let's see the role of rainfall as in chemical weathering. Are we together, class? So let's see the role of rainfall as in what? In chemical weathering. What happened? Climate can play a great role in chemical weathering, especially by using the rainfall. So right now, the roles of climate in chemical disintegration, or we call the decomposition of rock. Are we together? So remember when you are talking about rainfall, automatically you are talking about the element of water, which are hydrogen gas, this one, and oxygen gas. These are the elements of water. So what happened? It means we have different processes which occur in the disintegration of rock as a result of this element. So let's see the first process. We have 5 processes. We have the carbonation. So I'm going to explain a few of them. We have the carbonation, the hydrolysis, oxidation, the hydration, as well as the solution. So let's start from the down upward. Are we together? So solution, it means it involves the removal of the soluble rocks by water. It means we are talking the remove solution. It means in solution, the remove of the soluble rocks. Example, the chalk rocks. The chalk rocks, which are easily removed into solution, into the solution form when dissolved in it. So the point is, solution, it means we are talking about the rocks which can be dissolved in water and carried away. For instance, the chalk rocks. These are the rocks which are the soft calcium carbonate rocks, easily removed by the erosion agent, especially when they dissolve in it. And that process we call it the solution. Are we together? Then from there we have the hydration. Hydration, it means we refer to the addition of water to the rocks. See, so what happened? It means when there is addition of water to the rock, it means right now the rock will swell. Addition of water to the rock, then the rock swell. See, so once it swell, it means it was expanding. Then when there is occurrence of any forces that may either shake that land, it means the rocks right now, because it has contained some amount of water, it will be easy to be broken down into the smallest particles, and we call it the hydration. Are we together? Because we are talking about the addition of water to the rocks. So in a simple way, you may find a land, for instance, or a rock. So once the rock undergo the disintegration, or once the rock become filled or absorbed with water, it means it may swell, it may become weak and easy removed or disintegrated into the smallest particle, and that process is what causes the hydration. Are we together? So what is oxidation? Oxidation right here we are talking about the rocks which contains the iron minerals. So it means the rock which contains the iron mineral, for instance the feldspar, may undergo the reaction with the oxygen which are within the water, with the oxygen gas which are the element of what? Which is the element of water. Are we together right here? So what happened? It means right now we are talking about this one. The oxygen which are within the water will react with the mineral of the rocks. Which kind of mineral right now we are talking about? We are talking about the iron mineral which are within the rocks, for instance the feldspar rock. Are we together? So the rocks which contains the iron mineral. Then this one, remember iron, it is hard. It is hard rock. So once it reacts with the oxygen, it means it forms the iron 2 oxide. This one. This is removed. It become weak and easily removed by the erosion agent. And that process where the rocks which contain the iron mineral right now, it undergo reaction through the oxygen which are found in the water, and then the oxygen it turned the hard rock, see, which contains the iron mineral into the soft one, easily removed by the erosion agent. Are we together? This process, it is a process of forming what we call the reddish brown rock or rusty. Are we together? So from there, it means the rocks contain the iron mineral may react to the oxygen which are within the water. It may be changed into the soft rock, easily removed by the erosion agent, and we call it the oxidation. Then we have the hydrolysis. Listen to me very carefully. It means the hydrolysis right now, we are talking about the process whereby, let me explain right here. It means the process whereby the rocks which contain we have the rock which contains the calcium component. This one. This rock may react with the hydrogen gas, which is element of water. This one. This is element of water. Are you together? So what happened? It means right now it may form the weak what? It may form the calcium hydrogen carbonate. This is a weak rock. While this one is a hard rock. Listen to me very careful. It means when you say hydration, hydrolysis, you are talking about the reaction between the element of water, the element which are within the rocks. Where right now we are talking about the calcium carbonate rocks. This is a hard rock. So once it reacts with the hydrogen gas, see, it may be changed into what we call the soft rock, this one. So the soft rock, it means it is the weak rock, easily removed, this one. Easily removed by the erosion agent. Are we together? So this is what we call the hydrolysis, the reaction between the hydrogen which are within the water and the minerals. The rocks contain the calcium carbonate minerals. Are we together? Then from there, let's see the carbonation. It means the carbonation, we are talking about the carbonation. Carbonation, we are talking about the rocks which contain the calcium carbonate, then it reacts with acidic rain. Acidic rain. We all know what is acidic rain. Acidic rain will refer to the rainfall. This is a rainfall which inside it contains the carbon dioxide. See, this is what causes the acidic rain. So once this one, the calcium carbonate, it reacts with this one, it means it may form the calcium bicarbonate. This one, calcium bicarbonate. See, so this one, the calcium bicarbonate, this rock, this one is a soft rock. It is a soft rock, is removed by the erosion agent. Are we together? So the point is removed by the erosion agent. So the point is, this one, it is a hard rock. Right now, once the hard rock reacts with the acidic rain, there is a reaction between this one, the acidic rain, and the mineral which are in the hard rock right now, the calcium carbonate rock. So the hard rock may be changed into the soft rock and then easily removed by the what? By the agent of erosion and disintegrated into the smallest particle. So these are the roles of temperature and rainfall as part of the climate. So talking about the wind, it means wind, especially in areas of strong wind. Example, in the desert area. See, the rocks can be easy disintegrated into smallest particles through either wind abrasion, wind attrition, or wind deflation. Especially these two, they are very important. So what are these? We all know abrasion refers to the process whereby the rock right now may undergo the disintegration into the smallest particle through the material carried by the wind. It means sometimes the wind blow may have the smallest particles of sand, for instance. See, so once the smallest particles hit the rocks, it means the rock may undergo maybe scoring. See, maybe scratched slowly into the smallest particle. And that process whereby right now wind has contained some material that may be using as eroding tools is what called the abrasion, wind abrasion. And we have the wind attrition. It means in wind attrition right now, wind has carried different material, for instance sand. So it will travel with the smallest particles of sand. So the smallest particles of sand once hit the rocks, they may collide with the rock. Then the effect is the rock may undergo erosion and the particles that has hit the rock will also undergo the erosion. And we call it the windy attrition. Are we together? So in the windy deflation, it means you may find a circulating wind, a strong circulating wind. See, it circulates in a very fast speed. So it may remove the rocks into the fine what? Into the fine particles. Are we together? Easily carried by other erosion agents, and we call it the wind deflation. So wind may play a major role also in the disintegration of the rock, especially in desert area, as I've explained right here. Are we together? So we have seen the first model question, which need us to describe the role of climate. Are we together? In the disintegration of rock is our first model question. So let's see the second model questions. As I said, we are going to use the model question in our instruction from the beginning to the end. So we have the model question right here. It's written, weathering process is bad. Then it says, describe the statement by using the merits and the demerits of the process, of that process. It means weathering process is bad. See? Describes the statement by using the merits and demerits of the process. It means we have the advantage as well as the disadvantage of this process. Are we together? So in answering this question, it means you have to say weathering process is not bad because it has both positive and negative effect in our life. Are we together? So in your introduction, it means when answering this kind of question, it means in your introduction we have to define what is weathering. Are we together? Then to the main body, you'll go direct to the advantage or positive effect, as well as the disadvantage or the negative effect. Are we together? So let's see the advantage. Remember, weathering is very important because it helps in soil formation. It helps in soil formation. How? We know soil formation, it involves the disintegration of the parent rock into the smallest particles. So through weathering, the large rock can be split into the smallest particles. That's the first point. It helps in the provision of building material. It helps in the provision of the building material. Example, talus and scree, as I have explained. It means these are the rock particles that can be taken by people and use them in the building, say, of different, in the construction of different building. So we say it helps in the provision of the building material. For instance, talus and scree. Are we together? Also, we can have sand. For instance, in soil, it means we can use sand as a building material. What happened? It means there was the sandstone, which have undergone the disintegration and form what we call the sand. So we use the sand soil in the construction of the building. Then it provides the attractive feature for tourism activity. The attractive features for tourism industry, for instance. Example, the Exfoliation Dome. The Exfoliation Dome. See? So we have the Exfoliation Dome. This can be used as an attraction feature for tourism activity. Are we together? But weathering may involve the provision of different lakes, especially when the material carried away by the erosional agent, for instance, after weathering, it may left a circular depression. See? So the circular depression may be filled with water, and we may call it lake, especially, for instance, in the desert area. So it may assist the formation of lakes. Example, oasis, lakes in desert area. See? Oasis lake in what? In desert area. This is a result of what? Of the weathering process. As I've said, we find that different material may be carried away by wind. That's the erosional agent. So remember, in order for the wind to carry away the material, it means there was a rock which has to be disintegrated into the smallest particle and is carried by the erosional agents. So as a result, it may leave a depression on the desert surface. So once the depression becomes flooded or filled with water, it's what we call the oasis lake. So this is an example of flakes that may be a result of the weathering process. Are we together? So these are some of the advantages of what? Of weathering. These are some of the advantages of weathering. Let's see the disadvantages. Let's see the disadvantage. Weathering process may have result to the destruction of properties. For instance, the rods. See? Rods. We all know weathering, it involves the disintegration of the rock into the smallest particles. So through the different processes that may occur within the land, for instance, it may be easy to destroy the land through either of the process I've explained earlier. Are we together? But another disadvantage of weathering is that it may accelerate the erosion process. Example, the soil erosion. So this is a disadvantage because it involves the removal of the upper part of the soil by the erosion agent. Are we together? Either wind, ice, or water. So thank you very much being there from the start to the end of the lesson. So I'm going to make a simple summary of today's lesson. Today we have seen what is weathering, different type of weathering and the process involved in it. We have seen the guiding question and how to answer them. Until the next session, you are most welcome. Thank you very much.